And hello. Today we'll be looking at ratios, simplifying and changing ratios. And we'll be defining what exactly a ratio is. So we'll get straight into it. What is a ratio? Now, to demonstrate what a ratio is, I'm going to use a common example that we all should be somewhat familiar with. And the example is my waddy. So for those of you that are not familiar with my waddy, it's a cordial. So it's a concentrate of orange juice that you add to water to make kind of a diluted orange juice. So if I googled recommended my waddy ratio, so I add the word ratio at the end, this is what comes up. The recommended my waddy dilution ratio is 1 part my waddy concentrate to 4 parts water, and then it goes on. So the question is, what does this mean? The dilution ratio is 1 part my waddy concentrate to 4 parts water. Well, this is actually what it means. If I had 4 small glasses of water, how many parts my waddy would I need? Well, remember, it said the ratio is 4 parts water to 1 part my waddy. So there's 4 glasses of water. I would need 1 glass of my waddy. So that's what I would do then, is I put it all into a big glass and stir it around, and that would be my lovely my waddy drink. So in mathematics, we use these little 2 dots to represent a ratio. So not an equal sign, they're different, they're called a ratio sign. So this means for every 4 glasses of water, I'd need 1 glass of my waddy. Or another way to read this is the ratio of water to my waddy is 4:1. So this is the ratio of water to my waddy. Now it's important to note that it's water to my waddy, not my waddy to water. So we read from left to right, just like reading sentences. So we start off with water to my waddy. Now you'll see why that's important later on in another example. Let's say I had 2 glasses of my waddy. Well, the question is, how many glasses of water would I have? So remember, 1 glass, my waddy, is 4 glasses water. What if I had 2 glasses then? How many glasses of water would I have? Well, if 1 glass, my waddy, is 4 glasses of water, what would 2 glasses be? Well, it would be 4 plus 4, so that would be 8 glasses of water. Another example now, we'll use some numbers. A classroom has 10 girls and 12 boys. What is the ratio of boys compared to girls? So we're looking at the ratio of boys compared to girls. So we're looking at, remember, left to right, boys compared to girls. So if we were to write it out, it would be boys ... girls, not the other way around. Then we're going to attach numbers to this. So how many boys are there? Well, there's 12 boys. And how many girls? There's 10 girls. So the ratio would be 12:10. So this means for every 12 boys, there would be 10 girls. Now, what happens if I had it like this? 10:12. Is that the same thing? Well, no. This is the ratio of girls is to boys. So this would be this swapped around. So remember, this is why it's important. This is not the same thing as this. They're different. So be careful with what you're actually looking at. Boys is to girls. So boys, how many boys? 12. So that would be going on the left-hand side, and then girls is 10, so that would be on the right-hand side. So what is a ratio, if we were looking for a definition? Well, a ratio is a comparison of 2 numbers expressing the relationship between them. So that sounds big and complicated, but all it means is, if you're going back to your my waddy example, comparison of 2 numbers, or 2 things, so it would be 4:1 was the my waddy ratio, expressing the relationship between them. So that means for every 4 glasses of water, there would be 1 glass my waddy. So the relationship is 4:1. Let's say in this example, if we were looking at blue is to red, so how many blue circles are there for every red circle? Well, there's 5 blue circles to 2 red circles. So the relationship from blue to red would be 5:2. So this is the fundamental thing that you have to remember with ratios. You're just comparing 2 things. And if you're ever stuck with ratios, I always think back to the my waddy example. If I had 4 glasses of water, how many glasses of my waddy would I have? If I had 2 glasses of my wadi, how many glasses of water would I have? So now we're looking at simplifying ratios or changing ratios. So let's say we had the ratio boys to girls, same as last time. We had 12 is to 10. What if we ask the question, how many girls would there be if there was 6 boys? So remember we had 12 boys to 10 girls. What if there was only 6 boys? Well, how many girls would there be? Well, let's look at it like this. So we have our 12 boys over here and we have our 10 girls. Now we're just focusing on 6 boys out of the whole 12. Now I'm going to think about what fraction of the total amount of boys are we looking at? Well, that's 6 out of the 12 boys, which is the same thing as a half. So we're looking at half the number of boys. So if I'm looking at half the number of boys, I'm also going to look at half the number of girls. So what's half of 10? It's 5. So the ratio of 6 boys compared to girls would be 6 is to 5. And again, I just found, well, I was looking at half of the number of boys, so I'm going to look at half the number of girls. Now, another way to think about this is how I started off with 12 is to 10, and I somehow got down to 6 is to 5. Now, we knew we were looking at 6 compared to something. How did I get from 12 to 6? Thinking back to your equations, remember if we do one thing to one side of the equation, we have to do it to the other. And we were multiplying and dividing and adding and subtracting. Well, let's say we were just multiplying and dividing here. 12, I went down to 6. How did I do that? Well, I divided it by 2. So if I do one thing to one side of the equation, or the one side of the ratio, I have to do it to the other side. So I divided 12 by 6, I have to divide I divided 12 by 2, I have to divide 10 by 2. So I get 5. So 6 is to 5 would be the simplified version of 12 is to 10. Let's say we had a different ratio now, 18 is to 9. So this could be 18 boys is to 9 girls, or 18 glasses of water for 9 glasses of my wadi. What happens if you want 6's to something? So I wanted to change this 18 to 6. How do I do that? What do I multiply or divide by? Well, I divided it by 3. Yeah, 18 divided by 3 is 6. Whatever I do to the left-hand side, I have to do to the right-hand side. So 9 divided by 3, well, what's that going to be? That's going to be 3. So we have another 18 is to 9. Well, what happens then if we have something is to 36? So now suddenly we're looking at the right-hand side. Now, 9 became 36. So did we divide 9 or did we multiply 9? Well, we multiplied 9 because it became bigger. So we multiplied it by what? Well, 4 times 9 is 36. So we multiplied 9 by 4. Whatever we do to the right-hand side, we have to do to the left-hand side. So I got 18 times 4. Well, that's going to be 72. So I end up with the ratio 18 is to 9 is the exact same ratio as 72 is to 36. It's just a different way of representing it. This time we didn't simplify it, we actually made it bigger, but we're just changing the ratio slightly. Okay, here's some recap questions, so you can pause the video and do them. So we have a mortar mix is made using sand and cement in the ratio of 3 is to 1. Now remember, we're reading left to right, so sand and cement. So every 3 bits of sand, we have 1 bit of cement. So if 6 buckets of cement are used, how many buckets of sand are needed? So which part are we talking about in the ratio in cement? This part or this part? Well, it's the right-hand side, remember, because sand is to cement, sand, cement. So this is the 1 we're talking about. So if there was 6 buckets of cement, so we're talking about 1 part cement. What if there was 6? So think of it like this. Sand is to cement is 3 is to 1. What would the ratio be if something is to 6? Very simply, how did I get from 1 to 6? I multiplied it by 6, obviously. So I do the same thing to the left-hand side. So 3 times 6, well, that's 18. So I get the ratio 18 is to 6. Now, what's the question? Remember, we have to always answer the question. If 6 buckets of cement are used, how many buckets of sand are needed? So 6 buckets of cement, how many buckets of sand? Well, there'd be 18 buckets. Okay, next question. there is 300 milliliters of water in a glass. How much my body should you put in if the ratio of water to my body is 4:1? So remember, water to my body, 4:1. So how much water do I end up with? Well, I have 300 bits of water, 300 milliliters of water. How much my body? So 4 became 300. So that was obviously I multiplied 4 by something. What did I multiply it by? Well, that would be a tough thing to remember. So I just divided 300 by 4 and I got 75. So that means 4 times 75, or 4 multiplied by 75, is equal to 300. So I multiplied 4 by 75. That got me to 300. I have to do the same to the right hand side. So 1 times 75, that's just 75. So I have the ratio of water to my body is 300 milliliters to 75 milliliters my body. So how much my body should you put in if you're using 300 milliliters? Well, it would be 75 milliliters.